Hey there, everybody. This is Mac here, and we're going to work on absolute value equations and how those work. If you've seen my video, first of all, you can find that at maxtutorials.com, which I have down here at the bottom of the screen. And you'll learn that I'm going to go through that. So please go, take a look at that video. If you could subscribe to the channel and, like these videos, help me get word out there. And I think these could be very helpful to you. So, we see absolute values in an equation, we start to freak out a little bit because we're not really sure what to do. Now, remember when you have, like, let's just say, oh, I don't know, you have 3x. I'm just going to write up here on the top 3x equals 6. And so we're just going to, that's 3 times x, so we divide by 3. So we have a process, right? If we have x plus 2, what's the opposite of plus 2? We go minus 2 to get to the other side, right? Well, what do we do when we see an absolute value sign? Well, we know that anything that happens in this absolute value, that's going to equal 7. But if this expression inside here comes out negative, an absolute value takes the negative and pulls it out and makes it positive. So ultimately, when I get this x plus 3, my x minus 3 will equal 7. I can just solve that equation, it'll work. But also, if my x minus 3 will equal negative 7, if I get an absolute value of negative 7 in there, what's that going to do? It's going to pop out a 7, and I'm going to get a true statement. So really what you're doing, and I'm going to write it twice, but what you're really doing is you're just going x minus 3 equals plus or minus 7. Now, I think it's a little bit easier if we write it out twice. So now later on, maybe in Algebra 2, we get used to this. We'll just write it like this, and then we'll add 3 to both sides. And we'll just go, okay, what's positive 7 plus 3 is 10. What's a negative 7 plus 3? It's a negative 4. But I think it's just a little bit better if we just go nice and slow here. So if I add 3 to both sides, I'm going to get x equals 10. And here, if I add 3 to both sides, now my signs are different. So I subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number, and I get 2 answers. Now plug it back in, put in 10. What's 10 minus 3? 7. Does 7 equal 7? Yeah, it does. Now plug in negative 4. Add a line, change the sign. What's negative 4 plus negative 3? Absolute value of negative 7. What's the absolute value of negative 7? It's 7. That's why we have to have 2 answers for these. Okay, so now if I go to number 2, I'm going to get x plus 5 equals 9, and x plus 5 equals negative 9. Okay, so now I'm going to subtract 5 from this one. I'm going to get x equals 4. And on this one, I'm going to subtract 5. And look at that. Add a line, change the sign. Signs are the same. So I add them, and I keep the sign. And there you go. I have 2 different answers. Now, if I do this one, same thing. 2x minus 6 equals 14, or that 2x minus 6 equals negative 14. The way I take that absolute value out is I just take whatever's on the right and I make it say plus or minus. So now we have 2 two-step problems to do. Let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see this writing a little bit better. Sorry about that. 2x is going to equal 20. And when I do my division, x is going to equal 10. Okay? If I do this one, if I add 6 to both sides, now on this one, if I add 6, signs are different. So I'm going to subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number. And now when I divide by 2, I'm going to get x equals negative 4. I'm doing the solving pretty quickly. I have, again, a lot of videos in Chapter 2 on that Max tutorials. So if I'm going too quick on the solve part, go there and I really show you how to do that. It's better that you're comfortable on that before we do these problems, and I think you'll understand them better. Okay, so 3x plus 9 equals 12. And now 3x plus 9 equals what? Negative 12. And now I just solve for both. Once I subtract 9 to both sides, I'll get a 3x equals 3. And once I divide everybody by 3, I'll get an x equals 1. And minus 9 from both sides. Here's the part that you might mess up on, so be careful. Remember, add a line, change the sign, and I'm going to get a negative 21. Okay, and once I do that, I'm going to get x equals negative 7. Boink. You can always plug them back in to see if they're right, but they are. Now on this one, okay, so this one's a little bit different. That thing that I did where we go plus or minus to the right side, you're only allowed to do that when the only thing on the left is the absolute value. This plus 2, because this gets in the way, I can't do that. Okay, so imagine if the problem was 3x plus 2 equals 10. Can you divide by 3? No, you can't. What's the first thing you have to do? You have to subtract the 2. So guess what I'm going to do right here? I'm going to subtract the 2. Okay, and I'm going to get absolute value of x minus 8 equals 8. Okay, now that the absolute value is by itself, now I can write the equation twice. X minus 8 equals 8. X minus 8 equals negative 8. And now I'm just going to add 8 to both sides. Boom, boom, boom. X can be 16. And then also, I'm going to add 8 to both sides. And x is going to equal 0. Okay? And there you go. Number 6, same thing. Is the absolute value by itself? No. Oops, sorry. I've got that 4 in the way. So that's 4. Think about that as if it's in front of a parenthesis. So my first step now is I'm going to divide each side by 4. And now I'm left with absolute value of x plus 1 equals 5. Now the absolute value is all alone. So now I can go x plus 1 equals 5. And I can go x plus 1 equals negative 5. Now when I subtract 1 to both sides here, I'll get an x equals 4. And if I go minus 1 to this, I'm going to get x equals, out of line change of sign, negative 6. Okay, watch. If I plug a 4 in there, 4 plus 1 is 5. Absolute value is 5 is 5. 5 times 4 is 20. Cool. Now what happens if I throw in a negative 6? Well, what's negative 6 plus 1? Negative 5. What's the absolute value of negative 5? 5. What's 5 times 4? 20. That's how these work. Okay, so number 7. So on this, the absolute value is not by itself. So my first step is to move this over. I've got to get the absolute value all alone. I can't do that little trick until it's alone. Okay, now it's alone. So I'm going to go x plus 4 equals 8. And I'm going to go x plus 4 equals negative 8. Why don't I put a comma or something in there? So now I'm going to solve real quick. And again, I apologize if I'm going too fast here. But the key concept of here that you need to learn is how to do the absolute value. Right now, I'm just solving equations that, quite honestly, you should have by now. Add a line, change a sign. And if you don't, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with you for not knowing them. But it's just that I'm kind of past that point in the sequence. So go to maxtutorials.com and you will be able to find that and then go over that really slowly. And then you will feel just as comfortable as I do on this. Now, this one has a lot. So I've got the 2 in front and I've got the plus 1. Well, what if I had 2x plus 1 equals 11? What would be your first step? You would do the minus 1 because you're trying to get the x by itself, right? Okay, well, let's do that. Let's subtract 1 from both sides. Now I'm going to get 2 absolute value, x minus 7, they die, equals 10. Now what are you going to do? Now I'm going to divide by the 2. Okay, I'm going to absolute value of x minus 7 equals 5. Now I'm going to go kind of the quick way here and see what happens. I don't want to freak you out or anything, but now I'm going to go x minus 7 equals plus or minus 5. Okay, I always find that it's a little bit better if the plus or minus is in between when you solve. So watch what I'm going to do. And you're going to do this when we do quadratic equations and stuff. I'm going to write that 7 in front. 7 plus or minus 5. What's 7 plus 5? 12. What's 7 minus 5? 2. Those are your answers. I'm going to finish the rest of the problems like that and see how comfortable you feel with that, okay? So now on this one, I want to get the absolute value by itself, so I'm going to add the 4 to both sides. Boom, die, and I'm going to get 2x plus 8 equals 16. Oop, got to keep that absolute value there, right? So now I'm going to, if I take the absolute value out, which I am totally allowed to do now because it's all alone, it's all by himself, I'm going to write, first of all, I've got to get my pen correct. Sorry, get out of there. 2x plus 8, sorry, equals. Now, here I don't want to do the plus or minus 16 because I got a lot of math I still got to do with this. Okay, so 2x plus 8 equals 16, or 2x plus 8 is going to equal negative 16. So in this case, it's better to write it twice because if I write plus or minus 16 and then I'm going to subtract 8 from both of them and then I got to divide by 2, it's just a lot of work. So why don't we just keep it separate and we'll probably do less errors that way also. Okay, so once I divide everybody by 2, I'm going to get x equals 4. All right, Now here I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. And I'm going to get 2x equals, add a line, change the sign, negative 24. And as I divide each by 2, x equals negative 12. All right. Number 10, the 5 is in the way. I can't go plus or minus right now. So I'm going to divide each side by 5. And I'm going to get absolute value of x minus 2 equals 6. Now this one will probably be more appropriate to go x minus 2 equals plus or minus 6 and just write it in one equation. Now when I add 2 to both sides, I'm going to get x equals 2 plus or minus 6. Now, what's 2 plus 6? 8. I keep squeezing this pen. Sorry, old guy with technology. And I get 8. Now, what is 2 minus 6? Well, 2 minus 6 is like 2, add a line, change the sign. I'm going to get a negative 4. All right. Let's go on to number 11 now. I'm going to go minus 1, minus 1. And when I do that, I get absolute value of x plus 10 equals 7. So now I'm going to go x plus 10. To get rid of the absolute value, I'm going to go plus or minus on the 7. Now I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. Now this one looks a little weird, but I'm going to write that negative 10 in front. Negative 10 plus or minus 7. What is negative 10 plus 7? Signs are different. Subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number. How about negative 10 minus 7? Let me just write it off on the side. Add a line, change a sign. Signs are the same, so we add and we keep the sign. And those would be my answers. Okay, let's try number 12. A lot of different numbers here. So first thing I want to do is I want to add my 6. My goal is to get that absolute value all by itself. So I have to do a little bit of work to get us there. Okay, and so that's going to be 18. That 3 is still in the way. So if I divide everybody by 3, I'm going to get absolute value of x minus 4 equals 6. Now if I take the absolute value away, x minus 4 equals plus or minus 6. If I add 4 to both sides, I'm going to get x equals 4 plus or minus 6. What is 4 plus 6? Well, that's 10. What is 4 minus 6? Or, add a line, change the sign, 4 plus a negative 6. I'm going to get a negative 2. Going on to 13, absolute value is not by itself, so I've got to move that 3. Boom, die, and I get absolute value of 3x minus 6 is going to equal 12. Now, I've got a lot of math to do in there still, so I'm not going to do the plus or minus. I'm just going to write it twice. 3x minus 6 equals 12, and 3x minus 6 equals negative 12. I just go plus or minus to the right. Okay, so now I'm going to add 6 to both sides, and I'm going to get 3x equals 18, and when I divide everybody by 3, I just get a nice pretty x equals 6. Here, if I add 6 to both sides, ooh, look at that. I'm going to get 3x equals, signs are different, so I subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number, and I divide everybody by 3. If those negative numbers freak you out, you still don't feel comfortable about that, that's okay. But that's in chapter 1 I deal with. So go back to Max Tutorials and look at that, and I can help you with your negative numbers. Lastly, I'm looking at 14. I've got a 2 and I've got a 2. We're going to get rid of this one first, okay? We have to. So I'm going to get 2 absolute value x plus 9 equals 16. And again, if it helps you, take the absolute value out and just think about it as x. If this were 2x minus 2 equals 14, what would you do? You have to get the x by itself, so you would add 2. That's all we're doing here. So this right here is just like another example of what we would do there. It's a lot of writing. Let me get that out of there now, okay? All right, so going forward on this, I'm going to divide these both by 2. I'm going to get absolute value of x plus 9 equals 8, or x plus 9 equals plus or minus 8. When I subtract 9 from both sides, I'm going to get x equals negative 9 plus or minus 8. What is negative 9 plus 8? Signs are different, so I subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number, negative 1. What is negative 9 minus 8? Add a line, change the sign. It is negative 17. Okay, and that, my friends, is how we solve problems with absolute values. Just remember, when you take the absolute value away, you just go plus or minus to the right, and you may have to do a little bit of math to get that absolute value by itself. Don't do the plus or minus to the right, until the absolute value is the only thing left on the left. So just rearrange some furniture to get that absolute value by itself, okay? And then you should be able to solve the problem. All right, well, that was version A. So I've got two more versions. I know that's a little bit long, but if you go through these, you guys are going to be a pro. You're going to get an A on that test, and you're going to feel really confident in math. So go for it, and I'll see you on the version B.